The phone's ringing shattered the quiet morning air. David sat down, his coffee cup, frowning at the screen. Sarah, his normally composed neighbor, was now in complete desperation. All 6 of her week-old golden Labrador puppies had vanished without a trace. Wildlife photographer David, with his professional camera bag, quickly crossed the path between their houses. His keen eyes scanned the empty kennel, searching for clues. No signs of forced entry, no blood, just a few strands of tawny spotted fur caught on the fence. On the security camera footage, the culprit was clearly visible. A female bobcat with characteristic tawny spotted fur had entered the area during the night. But what caught David's attention wasn't the presence of the wild animal, but how it behaved. The bobcat carefully carried each puppy by the scruff of their necks, gently lifting them over the fence like a mother moving her own young. No signs of aggression or attack, only gentleness and determination. News of the kidnapping spread quickly through the forest-adjacent suburb. Local residents gathered in front of Sarah's house faces tense, holding hunting rifles and trapping gear. The air simmered with anger and determination to eliminate the dangerous predator threatening their pets. David stood apart from the crowd, his eyes reviewing the footage one more time. 20 years of experience tracking and photographing wildlife had taught him to recognize something unusual. This wasn't typical bobcat predatory behavior. He asked Sarah for one day to investigate before reporting to the rangers, despite her skeptical gaze. As dusk fell, David ventured into the forest with tracking equipment, emergency food, and infrared cameras. The bobcat tracks led him not deep into the dense forest as expected, but toward an abandoned quarry. A strong intuition urged him forward, even as daylight faded and darkness gradually enveloped the landscape. The crescent moon illuminated the trail as David followed the bobcat's tracks. Footprints in the moist soil revealed a telling detail. One of the animal's hind paws didn't press as deeply as the other, a sign of injury or damage. David paused when he discovered a torn piece of fabric caught on thorny bushes stained with dried blood. Not far away, hunting shell casings gleamed under his flashlight, signs of human presence, not tourists, but poachers. He recorded the coordinates in his GPS, photographing everything as evidence. After 2 hours walking in the night, David discovered a small, disturbed area. Trampled grass, dried blood, and small bones scattered bobcat fur. With his extensive experience, he recognized the signs of an attacked bobcat den, upturned earth bullet marks on tree trunks, and most heartbreaking small bone fragments, not from prey, but from bobcat kittens. As the night deepened, the forest wind grew bitterly cold. David concealed himself behind a tree trunk, waiting patiently. Experience told him the bobcat would continue her mission. Sure enough, before dawn, he spotted the familiar silhouette moving quietly through the bushes, heading toward another small house not far away, a house with a kennel containing newly born golden Labrador puppies. In the murky light of the dying night, David witnessed the bobcat sneaking into the yard, carefully climbing over the fence and approaching the kennel. With remarkable dexterity, she unlatched the door, with her front paws grasped a puppy, and quickly disappeared into the darkness. No sound, no signs of aggression, just the determination and gentleness of a mother. David decided to follow the bobcat after this newest theft. He maintained a safe distance, not wanting to startle the animal and potentially cause harm to the puppy. The journey led him deeper into the abandoned quarry where nature had begun to reclaim what belonged to it. Dawn was breaking when David approached the central area of the old quarry. The bobcat led him to a natural cave hidden behind large rocks and climbing vines. With the caution of an experienced tracker, he found a safe observation spot about 30 meters from the cave, concealed behind a weathered boulder. Through his powerful zoom lens, the scene that unfolded made his heart clench. Inside the cave, on a nest of straw and dry leaves, 6 golden Labrador puppies lay neatly beside each other, and now the 7th was being gently placed with the litter by the bobcat. There were no signs of injuries or mistreatment. On the contrary, the bobcat began to clean the puppies, licking their fur exactly as a mother cat would care for her own kittens. David adjusted his lens, zooming in further. In the corner of the cave, a smaller straw nest lay empty. There were traces of fur and bobcat kitten claws, but no signs of life. A few drops of dried blood on the rock told the story of a tragedy that had occurred. Throughout the day, David patiently observed and documented the female bobcat, continuously cared for the puppies, cleaning them, keeping them warm, and even trying to nurse them, though she appeared to have little milk. When one of the puppies cried from hunger, the bobcat showed concern, moving around them, trying to comfort them, following her deep maternal instinct. As night fell, the scene became tense when a stray coyote approached the cave. The bobcat immediately shifted to defensive mode, fur standing on end, claws ready, standing protectively in front of the puppies. Her low growl echoed in the darkness, and after a tense standoff, the coyote decided to retreat before the determination of this non-blood mother. When the first light of the new day appeared, David packed his equipment. He had enough evidence, enough of the story, and now it was time to act. With his heart heavy from the tragic story he had witnessed, he returned to town, determined not just to protect the puppies, but also the mother bobcat who had lost everything yet still found a way to love Jack's forestry. Office was filled with maps and case files. David placed his laptop down, opening dozens of photos and videos. He had captured Jack, a tall man with a beard graying after 20 years of forest protection, as silently viewed each one. Jack's calloused fingers flipped through the files, stopping at a special report dated the previous month. A report of bobcat poaching had been documented. A severely injured female bobcat had escaped, but her litter, 4 small golden bobcat kittens, had been captured. Bobcat kitten fur commanded high value on the black market, especially rare golden-colored ones. David looked again at the photos of the Labrador puppies, all with shimmering golden fur, almost identical to bobcat kitten coloring. The painful similarity became clear with a broken heart and maternal instinct. Still strong, the female bobcat had found small creatures similar to her own and brought them home to fill the unbearable emptiness in her heart. Jack spread a large map on the table, marking the location of the bobcat cave, reported poaching incidents and houses that had lost puppies. A pattern emerged, all within the operating area of a poaching ring they had been tracking. With clear signs and compelling evidence from David, the forestry team could plan to capture the poaching ring. But there was a more urgent issue: how to resolve the situation with the puppies and the bobcat caring for them. The community was growing increasingly angry, and some had organized their own hunting parties. David knew they had to act quickly, not just to catch the poachers, but to save both the bobcat and the puppies from the blind anger of humans. The community hall was packed. The angry and worried faces of owners who had lost puppies stared at the large screen as David projected the first photograph. The tense atmosphere gradually transformed into surprise, then emotion as each image appeared. The female bobcat gently caring for the puppies, protecting them from danger, and even trying to nurse them despite insufficient milk. David and Jack shared information about the poaching ring, about the bobcat's lost litter, and how the golden color of the Labrador puppies had triggered the maternal instinct in the bobcat. Tears rolled down many owners' faces as they realized this wasn't a story about a predator, but about a grieving mother trying to heal a deep wound. A plan was proposed and received surprisingly unanimous consent from the community. Instead of forcing the bobcat to return the puppies immediately, they would provide food and support for both the bobcat and the litter, allowing them to stay together for a few more weeks. Meanwhile, an anti-poaching campaign would be launched with community support. In the following days, David led a group of volunteers bringing food and supplies to the cave. From a safe distance, they placed puppy formula and meat for the bobcat. Gradually, the female bobcat began to grow accustomed to their presence, allowing them to come closer to check the puppy's health. Meanwhile, the forestry team, with information from David, had apprehended the poaching ring, rescuing many bobcat kittens and other wildlife being held for sale. The news spread, uniting the community even more in efforts to protect nature and heal wounds. When the puppies were big enough and healthy, it was time to return them to their families. With wildlife expert advice, they implemented a gradual transition plan. Each day, owners would approach the cave bringing food and spending time with the puppies, allowing the bobcat to gradually become familiar with their presence. Finally, the puppies were brought home. But the story didn't end there. Somehow, perhaps through familiar sense or miraculous instinct, the female bobcat often appeared at the edge of the area, watching from a distance as the puppies, now much larger, played in the yard. Some owners even reported seeing the bobcat and their puppies meeting at the forest boundary. A brief but emotional reunion. A new bobcat preservation area was established in the region partly thanks to the story that had touched the community's heart. And on a high rock overlooking the town, the silhouette of a female bobcat occasionally appears in the sunset glow, reminding everyone that maternal love and healing ability can transcend all boundaries, even those between wilderness and civilization. In the final photograph hanging at the local history museum, David captured a moment of a grown golden Labrador standing beside the aging female bobcat on a hilltop, both gazing at the sunset, proof that sometimes actions that seem like theft are actually acts of loving salvation,